welcome Sofía Benjumea to the stage, please. Come here with me. Come here with me. You might not know this, but she's my sister from another family, okay? So I just want to ask you something. What you're feeling now that you're not working here, is the South Summit this year better than last year that you were working in it?
Of course it is. No, yeah. I mean, I was literally crying this morning.
She's crying. I mean, who wants her to cry right now, please? Applause? No. Who wants her to cry now? Come on, guys. Let's make her cry. No, are you sure?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to leave them with a fantastic panel on the challenges and the opportunities in a connected world, which there are plenty. So, Sofía, my dear, stage is yours.
Thank you so
Enjoy,
much.
guys.
I invite you, all my participants. It's a pretty crowded panel, but we're going to make it all together pretty active and proactive. And if we still have time, we'll also launch the questions to the audience. So, just sit with me, whatever, you just take the stack. There you go. Awesome. Okay, where is it? Thank you all. Thank you very much for being here with us. So today we live in a world where it's constantly connected and getting more and more, at home, in the office, wherever we go, whatever we do. But if you think that we already live in a connected world, get ready, because today less than 1% of the things that can be connected to the internet are actually connected to the internet. So we've got a long way ahead still. And companies such as Cisco actually estimates that the Internet of Everything economy promises a 14 trillion in value of state for private sector companies globally over the next 10 years. So today we are gathering here at South Summit with some of the leading corporations from different industries and different sectors to talk about the challenges, the opportunities, and the future of this connected world. So I have with me Norberto Mateos, Southern Europe Territory Director at Intel Corporation, Paco Jariego, Director of Industrial Internet of Things at Telefónica, an innovation unit within Telefónica looking to the opportunities and, of course, the challenges of the IoT offers to Telefónica, Teodoro García from Future Energy Leaders, Paul Navarro, he's the head of digital transformation at Banco Sabadell, one of Spain's biggest banking groups, who's leading all the programs to become, let's say, 100% digital DNA company. Maite González, who is the head of customer service and digital transformation at Endesa NL, and José María Fuster, who's leading innovation at Banco Santander, a great challenge. So I want to take the opportunity of having all of you here today gather the key figures from 3 of the key kind of industries. If we talk about banking, we're talking about telcos and tech companies, and of course, energy. How are you reacting? Are you at all to this ultra-connected world? And what are the infrastructures that you think that you guys need to put in place today so that we really reach one day a fully connected world? So let's start with the ladies, for example.
Okay. Okay. What we think is that the new technologies, they are viable, they exist today, but what we think is really relevant is how the consumers, they adopt these technologies, right? And what we see is that the digitalization of the companies, this is a reality we have to face, and we have to embrace this change. And what we see is the change in the consumer. I mean, the consumer now is like digital, connected, social. Secondly, they have the power. They are empowered with all the information that the technology can allow them to decide things and to choose companies to be with. Then they are also, in our sectors, they are also adopting new technologies that can change our real infrastructure, like let's think of electric vehicles or distributed generation. These are things that will happen, that may happen, and it will change our infrastructure. And the issue is how can we make all these technologies be adopted by the consumer at the right pace? This is not really easy. What I can say is that right now in Spain, we have 11 million of smart meters already installed. And this is a huge potential of gathering information from the consumption of the consumers by hour. Every hour we know every people of these 11 million people, how they consume. And this is you know, an enormous opportunity to develop new customer insights to you know, create new services or new products that may be useful for the customers. And I think the key issue is how are we going to develop these new services, you know, and not only thinking within ourselves, but also with more open innovation, and I think that's why we are here. Mm-hmm.
What about Santander? How are you facing the future of this connected world? Is it going to make crumble the whole entity?
See that the connected world is something that will continue to grow using this quadratic function that is the Metcalfe law. And we see that everybody is trying to maximize the person-to-person connectivity that has a limit, the number of people in the world, through the financial inclusion to the social inclusion of everybody with a mobile, the internet.org initiative from Facebook, etc. But this is putting a limit, a huge limit, to the value of the network. But Internet of Things add an additional limit. If you see 6 million people connected and you consider that you can have 20 billion devices connected, the value of the network is, has a huge potential growth. And this is the idea behind the Internet of Things. Behind the Internet of Things, there are a set of technological problems that you have to solve. From banking perspective, there is the need to make another approach, and it's the blockchain technology that is the right one if you want to consider how to manage financial problems in the Internet of Things arena. So basically speaking, we see a huge, big opportunity if you consider the Internet of Things as the next step to make, to create value to the network effect in the future. And from the banking perspective, we see an enormous opportunity through this blockchain technology where we are going to change the paradigm instead of managing the financial information in a centralized way. We're going to manage the information through this distributed ledger model.
And jumping to telcos, Paco, what's your vision from Telefónica on, I mean, are you guys up to pace? What actions are you taking now to be ready for a full connectivity world?
Well, you introduced the question of asking us how we are looking at that, how we look the opportunity of IoT. The first reaction that we have, and this is not completely new, we've been talking about these questions for years, was, wow. We are in the middle of the action. We have we've won a lottery with this. We are going to have 50 billion things connected. So, I mean, that's fantastic. But immediately, we realized that today is so easy, so simple, and so cheap to connect things that everyone, practically everyone, can do it. So what we are looking is to a huge, incredible number of new things appearing in this space of the connectivity. The second thing that we said is, again, wow, we are in the middle of the action, so that means that we have the opportunity to collaborate with everyone, and we are going to be creating new services because the potential is absolutely very, 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 very large. And again, what we've discovered is that, and this is for my colleagues, there are not so many interesting ideas. It's difficult to come up with new ideas, with new business models, etc. And on top of that, most of them are going to be probably disruptive for some of the industries and some of the players in the industry. So we still see the opportunity, and we think that we are in a privileged position. And in fact, one message that I want to launch is that we are more than happy to collaborate with everyone that has an idea, a business idea that we can develop together. We are going to help them.
We're in the best place actually to open that proposal, I think.
I was
So, Paul, I would love to hear on your side from also the banking industry, how Sabadell actually figure out this new relationship with users in a more connected world.
I would like to shift a little bit the message of, for us, what is more important is not the connected things, but is the connected customer. For us, everything is around the customer, so it's everything, it's mobile device, anything will be connected, but for us, the mantra that moves our strategy is always the customer, so it's really understanding what really means to be connected with customer. I think to make a comparison with another industry, probably the car industry, you had the fuel ones and the electric ones. No one of these probably is today the best solution. You have the hybrid ones, and for us also, the main challenge on banking is about making the best of physical and digital world and making an hybrid experience for our customers. So when we think about connected is how that we can really use technology that can be devices, that can be mobile phones, that can be any platform to really connect customers with our organization and really ensure that all the relationship is happening on digital. Instead, it's happening in a branch or at home with the customer. And then when we talk about digital transformation, the main challenge for us is how we do really change how the organization thinks and works to become a more connected company on everything we do. And I will say probably 3 things for us are very important about changing the culture of the company. The first one is banks need to work like in a startup. We are not a risk-adverse company, and when you work on digital, you really need to change your mindset. The second one is the battle is on the interface, so it's not processes, it's not people anymore is fighting on the interface, and Apple, everyone is fighting on delivering the best interface. And the third one is on digital, everything happens on real time. So organizations are not prepared to react on real time with customers, and you probably need to change everything to really work on real time. And probably devices, sensors, and these kind of things can really help you put your organization on a more real-time focus than we are right now.
Norberto, how's Intel coping and reacting to this new ones?
We have a vision, and in that vision, anything that consumes energy will compute and will connect. So this is making everything pervasively and taking to the numbers that Jose Maria was referring before, these billions of things. So as we envision computing, we're trying to make it more personal. We're trying to make it an extension of us. And this is not a matter of what, it's a matter of when this is going to happen. So I think we're all here trying to define which are going to be the business models that are going to happen. Business models that hunt for the customers, for the end users of them, new entrepreneurships, new business models for people that come and for people that are already there, that somehow are changing the traditional industries. Industries that a few years ago were just fighting to be in internet. This is much, it's a complete reshape of the core business of it.
Saying the business models is not that much like the technology is there. The technology is already here. It's more that we haven't yet, like, correct me if I'm wrong, no? It's not my subject, but it's more that we haven't yet managed to know how to make it useful, really, so that it's out there in the market and really becomes massive, no?
Exactly. This is not a matter of the technology. It's a matter of what is the value for the end user. Maybe just one example, Paul was referring to the cars. We're seeing the rise of the share car. We're seeing the rise of the shared economy. People maybe before always wanted to have things. Now people want to have access to things. They just want to use when they want a car. They may not want to pay the annual insurance or the parking always, etc. So that is what we need to solve now.
Teodoro, just also maybe more on an energy perspective, like how is this actually going to totally disrupt the industries, no? And what new things are going to come out of this new industrial revolution?
I think that energy and ICT, information and communication technology, have the same relationship as efficiency and connectivity. A more connected world means more efficient society. So in this perspective, we have to work as the South Summit proposed us in those type of panels with developers, entrepreneurs, and also the banking system, because I think that as happens in the energy market, we need financial support in order to develop a more connected world. Think about more connected world as a service, because finally the customer, I think, should see the connected market, the IoT market, as a service, not only as buying new devices. In the past, the first industrial revolution was supported by introducing new technology in manufacturing sectors. And I think that the new industrial revolution that is coming, Industry 4.0, that Telefónica is working on that now, and tomorrow I think you are involving in the presentation of the new study related with Industry 4.0. The new industrial revolution, the Industry 4.0, will be based on energy efficiency and connectivity. To achieve this objective, the objective of the new industrial revolution, promoting an efficient and more connected industry, we have to build up something that you mentioned this morning, that is a new ecosystem of startup with high specialization. Now we have a lot of startups developing new products, new platforms, new devices, but we have to put them together in a value chain in order to connect them to the industry, to the needs of the industry. That is not possible today, but I think that we have to work on that. Introduce also the banking system in order to make possible this connection between the small startups and big industries to solve this program, to promote this Industry 4.0. A few days ago, I was working with the President of the European Parliament, Martin Schulz, in order to promote new ICT policies in the framework of the European Union in this way. In fact, we were talking with the President of the European Parliament in order to develop new specific calls for develop this new ecosystem in Europe and to enable a new industrial revolution based on digital skills. In this way, I think, in my opinion, that the Internet of Things should be one of the main points of attention of the ICT policy of the European Union. Internet of Things will improve, absolutely improve the European industry, the well-being of the workers, and the competitiveness of the European Union. Why is necessary the IoT? Why is necessary to close this first interview? I think that the people are limited, our brain are limited to collect all the data that happens around us. We need the devices, we need machines to collect this data, to process this data, and then we take some decisions based on that. But we are inefficient taking this data that happens around us. I think that's the way to be more efficient and to be more connected.
I think like you're driving a message on, like it's all about Internet of Things, but I think that the play is actually going to be on who's the best at interpreting, or whatever you say, that data, no? And how it's really going to use. What do you think about this?
Can you repeat?
Like the challenge of actually this huge amount of data that is going to come out of this connected world, and how are we going to cope with it and adapt it to new business models?
The data problem, you have to consider several different things. First, you have to store the data, so you need to grow the storing capacity and the processing capacity to manage this data. And this is about the cloud problem. So cloud business is growing exponentially, and you need economies of scale if you want to manage the increasing amount of data that is coming in the world. So this is the first question. So the cloud question. The second important question is how to manage the data, how to get intelligence from the data. Traditional approaches, traditional statistical approaches are not enough. You need to use advanced approach based on use of intensive computing resources through machine learning algorithms. And this is a second area of growing. And there is a third consideration that is a question related to the way human being behaves. So if you analyze everything with the traditional human perspective, with the traditional heuristic models, you are losing all the power of the new machine learning models. So you need to change the way you are addressing the problems. You have to change the way you are analyzing the output of the data. You have to change the way you are presenting the data. So the way human beings interact with this new world has to change, and it is required a behavioral change. Basically speaking, these are the three ideas behind this data problem.
Adding to what Jose Maria was telling, I think probably looking at technological perspective today, the challenge is storage of data and processing of data. But again, if we look at the customer, I think the challenge with data is about value and privacy. So probably as a customer, you will share your data with third parties if you really perceive value by sharing that data, and you really perceive that there's privacy on that relationship with third parties. I think, for example, to talk about one industry related to banking is insurance. Insurance will change radically how it will work with data and devices. Today, insurers work by protecting risk with data from the past, and I think in the future, insurance will work probably by predicting and taking information from the customer and probably delivering dynamic prices to customers based on their behavior. But again, as a customer, you will probably accept giving the data to a third party, an insurance company or whoever makes insurance products, by perceiving that you really have value with that relationship and that there's privacy around. Today with Apple Watch, many people is sending health information to Apple to aggregate that information and make probably trends about the health of the people. And again, it's about how do you feel sharing those data with others.
Yeah, this is something, Norberto, you were driving, like how are we going to deal with the privacy and security issues, no, over the IoT?
Exactly, and I'm maybe trying to be a bit provocative. Privacy is something, if you look at the history of humanity, privacy is something that came up in the past, maybe a couple of hundreds of years. What would we give up first? Would we give up on technology or privacy? And I'm pretty sure most of the people would give up first on privacy than on technology. Just trying to be provocative. Huh?
Like Paco also wanted to add, and then I jumped to this.
I would like to change a bit the discussion and put the focus instead of on the data specifically, which of course is a huge potential, and if we think, for example, in industry and efficiency, operational process, etc., data are going to be key, but the key thing for me is something that Jose Maria has mentioned in the last part of the intervention, which is the different or the potential in changing the relationship that we have with the physical world. This is for me the key thing with the Internet of Things, because it's connecting the physical world. If you think, and this is for, I think it's interesting for everyone that is trying to enter into this space, is that the first thing that we need to look at is, my product is going to be connected, but connected for what? What kind of problem I'm solving? If you think of your favorite example, my favorite example is probably Uber, and Uber is a lot about efficiency, because if you share cars, is what the sharing economy is about, is efficiency. But the reason we are adopting things like Uber is not because of the efficiency, it's because of the convenience, and it's because of the peace of mind, and knowing when the taxi is going to come, etc., etc. If you think in the Kindle, for example, which is a connected book, the key thing about the Kindle is not the data, it's the new experience that creates, which completely changes the way we relate with books. So the key thing for me with the Internet of Things, and of course we have all the question of the data, is the potential that has in opening new ways to interact with the physical world. And by the way, it will free us from the smartphone, which is a fantastic, fantastic magic piece of technology that we have today, but we've become slaves of the smartphone. And this will free us, will allow us to interact with the physical world in a different way.
I would like just to build up on this point, and is relating on how we see in the future, let's see in a house, and how would you have relation with different things in your home. You wake up, and then the first thing you do is that maybe you look at the phone, the mobile phone, and then you can check there what is the weather, or you can check there if the heating of your house is going up, and of course, you can check also if your electric vehicle is charging to the grid or is getting energy from the grid. Or you can check if your solar panels that you have on the roof, that this morning they were explaining to us that there's some technology we have, you are, producing energy, generating energy, and storing. And also, you may have some information during the day in the phone that you may buy or sell energy that you have produced in your house at different prices. All these things that doesn't happen now, it may happen in the future because you have like a home energy system control in your house, a device that connects all these things, and all this data, is processed and then gives you advice and gives you decisions that you may take in order to take some new behaviors. What is going to happen? We don't know, but all this technology is here now, and we have all this technology, but they are not put in place together. And one of the, I think, major things is not only like this hardware, how do they connect with the Internet of Things or the gateways to get information to somewhere, but also if it's useful for the customers. If they find this is useful, then they will pay for that, and then everybody, will develop new services. And I think that we are in this way, we are beginning to have some of this information. And for instance, one of the things that we want to do, this morning our president said that we have Endesa Energy Challenges. We want to open innovation with, entrepreneurs, with brilliant thinkers, developers, big data experts, just to begin this, work, to do it together, to develop new things, to explore ideas, to have it in place, to have prototypes, to failure, because maybe it doesn't work, some of the things that we launch to the market. And well, this is one of the things that we want to begin with.
Following on this, I would like to know maybe not all of you, but what's the role that you think entrepreneurs, knowing that we are in a startup conference also, opening the floor, and where do you think, I think the industry is on the one hand, are you happy about it or are you freaking out? Are they going to actually be the ones taking us out of the business? Or where should they be focusing? It's in the technologies, in the business models, it's in specific industries. I would like to hear from you, what are you looking for into the entrepreneurs, and where do you encourage them to actually go and try to launch and do the next big thing on IoT and a connected world?
If I can start, for me, the entrepreneur is a figure which is admirable. It's fantastic that there are people that are able to put a lot into creating something new, and that's the magic of the economy in which we live. But I think that they are fundamental because the economy is a complex system and it's in continuous renewal, and we need new ideas, and some of those ideas, probably very little number of ideas, are going to succeed, and many other will be removed by the market. But it's a key thing. For us, for Telefónica, they've been a source of inspiration, and they are a source of inspiration. Some of the things that we are doing, in particular in the most dark thing, which is the connectivity, technical thing, etc., some of the things that we are doing there comes from the many different conversations that we have with entrepreneurs that are looking for specific things. So for us, it's a fantastic opportunity to be in a place like here and to have the opportunity to collaborate with the people that is creating the economy.
I think there's a big opportunity in our case, for banks. Banks are very good designing services, and probably it's our role during many years, but when we came up to physical products, we are not experts on that industry. So for us, it's very interesting to connect real entrepreneurs that are very good designing products that combine both things about physical and digital, and opening up our platform and allowing them to use our data, our financial services, to interconnect with new physical devices. So I think banks have a huge opportunity of really open up the platform with it, and we are connecting some startups with physical products, the startups that are using data to generate new kind of interfaces with our customers. So I think we need to really understand that this world is about the speed, and we cannot come up with that speed alone. So startups allows us to use this extra mile that we need to really come up with new big innovations on the sector.
For me, a couple of ideas. When we see the traditional enterprise relationship with their customers, this is what needs to be evolving. They need to create these links of loyalty to their customers. I come across many entrepreneurs, and I see too many of them, and maybe it's a particular case, focusing to the applications. The apps are it, most of it. And apps are not so, it's not an easy world. It's a pretty tough world. I would like to encourage the entrepreneurships in the country to go farther to the physical world, to the device. With the device, you can get data, you can develop data models, and you can sell value to many customers. So that would be my message for the entrepreneurships. Go beyond the app into the device. I see a lack of that in Spain. I work a lot with Italy. The fabric of industry manufacturing coming from the country is impressive. Second largest manufacturing in Europe, just after Germany. So we don't realize how strong they are based on this development of hardware.
What about Banco Santander? Like, you've been doing an amazing work this year. So how's the relationship with entrepreneurs?
We envision entrepreneurs as the people who is going to challenge the current financial system. So current financial system is a conservative one. People move slow because you have to guarantee to your customers what you are doing. And on the other side, you have young people with a lot of energy, with a lot of will, a vision. They are creating new models, new ideas, new things. And we envision that the digital dimension, the fact that there is a phenomenon in society that is altering all the business models, that is the digital dimension, that is shortening the space, is going to change fundamentally the dynamic of the financial system. And we envision that the end of the game is what we call FinTech 2.0, where banks itself should be transformed into FinTech companies. So banks in the future will be less banks and less financial company and more technological company. We envision in this end game banks as FinTech 2.0 company connected to the evolution of the current FinTech companies, and a new network of FinTech 2.0 companies will provide the financial services in the future. This is what we envision now.
If you all agree, let's see what our audience, I don't know if any of you want to take the opportunity to launch a question to the leading corporations of three of the main industries of our country and the worldwide. So happy to, I don't know if they're over there, we don't have time for many, but hey, micros. Hola. Ahí arriba. Sorry.
Sorry, I cut in the middle. This is thanks for the panel. Question for my friend Norberto Mateos. He just mentioned that having a provocative question for the audience, right, Norberto, about technology and the need for your data to be secured, you know, the privacy. And I see the youngest generation, my kids at home, they have this oddest behavior. Like, for instance, my daughter Marta, she wiped up from Facebook because she didn't feel secure about their privacy. So this is something that I would like to ask you, if you feel that this new generation is having the same concerns as we thought that for ourselves. I would never give up technology for my privacy. That's not what my kids think.
If I can, as you mentioned, I think there are two separate ideas here. One is security of the data, that is a critical model. Another one is privacy. In privacy, yes, there are people willing to stop their social presence because of the privacy, and there are others who just share everything. So I don't think it's going to be easy to say how this is going to work. But security is definitely one of the main issues that we all need to solve here, because it's about reputation, social reputation of our companies. There are so many things around it.
I don't know if anyone wants to. Paco?
Just to add that I think that in this discussion that we have about new business models, new ways to do things, et cetera, for me, privacy is one of the things that is at the stake. Most of what we've seen until today in development of the internet, et cetera, is based on a model which is fundamentally funded by advertising and by using the data, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that we have the challenge, and this is half desire, half something that I think that really will happen. We have the challenge to create new ways to do things, new business models that do not rely exclusively in playing with the privacy or with the data. We are going to be doing that in a different way. I think that this is part of the challenge that we have, clearly.
There in the back.
Muchas gracias. Since we have two bankers and a large telco, the question here is, will we see progression in the banking sector like we saw progression from the telcos? Long ago, the telcos had business models that were transaction-based, just like banks today. Now they are relational-based. Will we see this happening with banking as well? Thank you.
First.
We will see a lot of progression, because think that, I repeat this vision. So banks has been built around branches in the past. So branches were the place where customers find their branch manager or their commercial manager, and make business, make services, everything. And this branch-centric model, has developed during years and years thousands of processes that are being built on top of or using the branch as the center of the model. The digital revolution, the internet revolution, the channel revolution is changing this game dramatically, because everybody can reach directly the customer immediately, because the customer is connected with a mobile device and is using the mobile device all the time. So you can redefine completely all the process. But you are talking about thousands of processes that you have to change. And at the same time, you have to define new mobile-centric, customer-centric processes, changing fundamentally the business model. And this change is what is the combination of the evolution of banks and what fintechs are doing. And this is creating a whole set of new propositions that are immature because are brand new, but the change fundamentally will be the thousand of processes will be in the network. And you will redefine the role of the different nodes of the current network, where in the current network, the weight of the current network is very heavily based on the fact that banks have branches. In the long future, you will reduce the role of the branches, and you will increase dramatically the role of new financial nodes. And this is what we call FinTech 2.0.
I think to add to that, the next battlefield in banking will be on OTP, like telcos. So probably transactions will be the infrastructure that will move money. But again, the battlefield will be about interface and experience. So there is where we are competing with newcomers, and probably banks have a huge opportunity to understand that they need to shift the focus, and where the value is not on the transactions that we have, but really on that relationship and building interfaces that really make the relationship different. And probably you can upsell new services on that new way of understanding the customer.
I think Teodoro, you wanted to say something?
Using this opportunity, this question as an opportunity, I want to mention that the new paradigm of the Internet of Things should be on the way that the risk, the financial risk, and also the technical risk of the operation between the customer and the entrepreneur, the smart and medium enterprise that gives the services, the IoT services, must be supported by the SME, the financial risk and also the technical risk, because you can sell something innovative, new, without assuming a risk of that. That is the way I think, seeing the IoT opportunity as a service, seeing the new devices, the more connected world as a services, and working together with the banking system is the only way to develop a new ecosystem of SMEs.
We're running out of time. I'm sorry we couldn't go deeper into this conversation, but I think it's also a good step to actually have putting like energy companies together with banking and telcos, and I think is also the way and the time to actually collaborate and see where this is heading all of us and how you guys are going to react and get to that point of innovation. So thank you, Teodoro. Thank you, Maite, and the Endesa Energy Challenges. Thank you, José María, Norberto, Paul, Banco. Thank you very much.